Today is Ascension Day, and I'm delighted that you're watching this short video as we celebrate this second last piece of the Eastertide season. In 10 days' time, we'll celebrate Pentecost, and that will draw to a conclusion our time of Easter. Today we read in Acts chapter 1 the words of Luke as he explains what happened on that day of Ascension. Luke chapter 1 verse 6. The disciples gathered around Jesus and asked him, "Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom of Israel?" Jesus said to them, "It is not for you to know the times or dates the Father has set by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." After Jesus said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid them from their sight. Although we still have Pentecost to come, in a sense, Jesus' ascension back into heaven brings to a close that cycle that started with his incarnation, as God the Son emptied himself out and came down in human form to live among us as a person. And as he dwelt with us, we were able to see God in the flesh, to see God interacting with people around him from childhood through to adulthood. And we experience and have a record of his ministry among us. And for many of us, we feel closer to God as a result of the witness and the life of Jesus, because he seems in some ways more relatable, perhaps, than God the Father and God the Spirit. We can see him and touch him, and we can hear how he interacted with people around him. The problem was that when Jesus was here in physical form, he was confined to one place and one time. He could not be everywhere all the time. He couldn't jump from one place to another. He was really restricted in time and space by the human body that he had taken on. And with his ascension, he casts off that human body and once again becomes a spirit being, together with the Father and the Spirit. And as he's able to do that, and as he ascends back to the right hand of the Father, Jesus once again becomes omnipresent. He is able to be everywhere and every time. And so we experience Jesus fully, regardless of when we live and where we live. And this is part of the great blessing of the Ascension, is that Jesus becomes available to every one of us. It's why in all of the paintings of the Ascension, all of the classic paintings, we see Jesus ascending with his arms out. You can't see it so much on the camera here, but out and open or uplifted, because as he ascends, he is once again able to reach out his arms and his hands to the whole world and to include everybody. And as he sits at the right hand of the Father, these arms of Jesus are still open and available to the whole world, available to you, available to family or friends that you have that live far away, available to those who love him, but also available to those who don't love him, who don't know him or even hate him. Jesus' arms are open and receptive to everybody, all the time, everywhere. And he sets for us an example of how we ought to be as well, as Christians living in the world. We cannot be omnipresent, but we can have our arms open as Jesus has, to receive everybody, regardless of who they are or what they've done, what they look like or how well we know them. We have a capacity to walk in Jesus' footsteps with this great generosity and inclusivity that Jesus brings to humanity. And so we, like the disciples today, Ascension Day, we look up towards heaven and we see our Christ rising up back to the right hand of the Father, sitting there, advocating on behalf of you and me and all of humanity, stretching his arms wide so that he can include all of us in his love and his grace, so that everybody can benefit from the salvation that he has won for humankind. And so as we celebrate Ascension Day today, let's lift up our heads and our eyes and look towards the heavens and imagine Christ up there, gazing down on all of humanity with his love and generosity. In the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.